Now it's the time for the very first panel for the day. The topic is going to be navigating recent changes in tax regulation, strategies for compliance and innovation. This session will be moderated by Mr. Pushpendra Dixit, Vice President and Global Taxation Head, PVR Limited. Let me give a small brief about the moderator who will be beautifully moderating the entire session. Mr. Pushpendra Dixit is a chartered accountant and a master in law, having close to 18 years of post-qualification experience in taxation, both direct and indirect, in the areas of domestic as well as international compliances. The corporate tax compliance for India as well as international tax transfer pricing documentation for foreign subsidiaries, including branches. And with this, let me introduce the panelists for this session. The first will be CA Pawan Kumar, Associate Director, Taxation, REA India. Second will be Mr. Gurmeet Singh Sukhija, Indirect Tax Head, Mankind Pharma Limited. Next will be Mr. Vipul Mittal, Group Indirect Tax Head, DCM Shriram Limited. Next will be Mr. Anandi Prasad, Senior Vice President, Taxation, SRF Limited. And last but not least will be Mr. Chandan Agarwal, Tax Head, Dabur India Limited. Again, I'm repeating myself that the topic of this panel will be navigating recent changes in tax regulations, strategies for compliance and innovation. With this, let us invite our moderator and all the panel members respectfully on the dais, and let's kickstart this insightful, interesting and knowledgeable session. So can we have the entire panel on the dais, please? Can we have some music? All right, with this, over to you, sir.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I said good morning, everyone. Thank you. So we have a very enriched panel. We have tech stalwarts all surrounding me. My job is very easy today. I just need to ask questions, take their inputs. Of course, I will also be adding my perspective on particular aspect of tax compliance, strategy and innovation, including the recent tax changes. But we have a house full of tax professionals. On my left, Chandan, who is tax head Dabur, quickly. Anandi ji, right? Anandi, my bad. Anandi Prasad ji, who is from REA, SRF. And Gurmeet, of course, from Mankind Pharma. Vipul, a friend from DCM. And Pawan from REA. So, interesting. Let's straight dive into the few questions which are relevant, keeping in mind today's need of the hour, which is technology, AI, and of course, we will also be talking about GenAI, etc., if time permits. So I'll start with Chandan on my left, and then we'll pick other panelists also for the questions. So Chandan, if you can help me, what are some of the most recent tax changes or regulations that impacted business in India, and your take on that?
Tax regulations as such is a very dynamic thing. It keeps on moving, and so tax laws are very general laws. Like now industry is very wide, like what would impact to whom. One need to have a particular a catch up of that. Like I represent FMCG industry, so if I look at it, there would be some minor changes, but more or less the changes are in streamlining some government forms, some minor tweaking here and there. But on policy side, if one looks at it, on policy, I don't think major changes has happened across board. For if we are looking for a March 25 tax return filing, March 24 everyone has filed. So what we are is just looking for March 25, planning for March 26. So what are the changes? Some planning ideas here and there. Government of late, companies which has got very high treasury income, now they might be seeing that, okay, under the current laws I'm paying very high taxes, so whether I can migrate that to, let's say, to gift city, Gift City offers a tax holiday of 10 years. There's a government initiative to push Gift City, akin to what Singapore and UAE is. Gift City has a tax of 9% MAT, but it's creditable. So one can explore shifting treasury, global treasury operations or regional treasury to Gift City on tax side. And like, but to say that there is some incentives government is offering on tax side, don't think so, because tax rate already been now 22%, effective 25.5. So tax rate is what the critical thing is. And obviously I just say that people should pay their taxes fairly so their assessments go in a more cleaner way.
Okay. So Gurmeet, maybe you would like to add?
Yeah, as tax regulations nowadays, the government is keep on coming as far as indirect taxes are concerned. Every nowadays there is a new tax regulations. I will talk about few of them, which the previous speakers have also spoken. The introduction of the ISD mechanism, which has been now mandatory from 1st of April. Now, this could be a small change for few of the organizations, but the companies who were totally engaged into cross charges and were not doing ISD, that has kept the tax managers and the tax heads busy over the past few weeks. And two more important changes that I think which is now been there. One is pre-deposit of 10% even if you do not have any tax demand. So the companies like us, where you go there to the tax authorities and say that we have already paid the tax demand, but the officer insists that no, there will be a penalty and the interest. That is a deterrent to the taxpayer to go for a further litigation, because now you have to do a 10% of a pre-deposit of your penalty amount. The second, which is again could be a small change when you see it prima facie, but has a long lasting impact, is the reversal of the ITC by the recipient through IMS. So if a supplier issues a credit note, then the supplier will get the benefit under section 34 is only when a recipient actually reverses the input tax credit. As of today, we do not have any mechanism, right, to know how the recipient is going to reverse the ITC. But then it has now been I don't know whether I have to use this word, forcefully introduced through IMS, and it is very difficult, and it is going to be very difficult for the companies like FMCGs, pharmas, or the automobiles, which has huge numbers of distributors and the recipients, to make them understand that the ITCs actually have to reverse. And I'm not sure how much control do we possess on the supply chain to make them sure that the ITC has been reversed. So this, I think, are the areas to watch out for.
Thanks. I think it is pretty much covering. So I'm coming to Anandi ji on the part of, like, we spoke about the evolving regulatory frameworks, and this is the high time, I think, regardless of the tax statute, we are seeing unprecedented changes or a turnaround, I would say, not only confined to taxation, but any gamut of regulatory environment. So how organizations are adapting to the tax strategies to stay compliant? Specifically, I mean, if you can give us some example that will also help audience to connect with.
If you talk about the changes, organizations are now adopting technology. That is one thing. However, I would like to say, as Pawan said and Gurmeet said, these are the changes like IMS or ISD. In my view, these are not the changes, but these are nothing but enforcement of changes. Even if you see the GST law when came, they said you are eligible only when you receive the services, you receive the goods, if you are eligible, accounted. And these all, if you talk about just remember GSTR 9, they have said in clause 14 table, they have said you have to reconcile with your expenses and ITC claim. Yeah. But till date, 7 years has gone. Can anyone in this room sitting say, yes, I am CFO or I am tax head or I am having a tool which able to give me a system that yes, I will be able to reconcile. If you talk about another example, they have given a 44 clause in 3CD 44 give the transactions of GST from purchases from GST registered or not registered? Am I able to give? So basically, these regulatory changes, as Gurmeet and Mr. Pawan said, these are nothing but these are the enforcement by department, because they are thinking that we are abusing the law they have made. So now organizations are adapting, but still I would like to tell they are far behind the adaptation, the way department has adapted.
No, I think that's undoubtedly the correct statement, but we would love to hear from you any piece of advice in terms of like how you can adapt to those changes. Like this is a fact that taxation is a tough ball game, and we have something or other coming up. One of the thing is that supply through e-commerce operator, where responsibility is cast on the e-commerce operator to kind of collect tax and pay it on behest of the original service providers. But we have to adapt these changes. We have no option but to adapt it. Any point of view on that, like how to adapt? There will be challenges.
So in my view, you see, I was in a meeting, they used the two words, astronomy and astrology. So we have to understand the astronomy, where we are, and astrology, what GST law or income tax law has asked me to do. So you have to reach there, and only the efficient tools, that is called maybe AI or what we call BI or whatever, we have to adopt. Otherwise, we don't have any other option.
No,
Just
that
to add
has,
here,
yeah.
Pushpendra, that to adapt, you need to think a step ahead of the government. As the government is also using the tool while analyzing your data, just think that what government is thinking about your data, how they will perceive while doing an entry or taking an input tax credit. It is not an option with us, as the GST law has encapsulated over the time, but nevertheless that we have to think how they are perceiving my data and what sort of questions they can ask, and then perceive that how you want to book the data in your books, how you treat the data, and prepare your reports.
Okay, I think answer has come that you have to keep reinventing. Of course, you have to embrace the technologies. I'm coming to Pawanji on the question like some of the challenges that company face in continuation to the same question. Challenges and along with some point of view, because I understand AI and Gen AI, including the artificial general intelligence, these are the buzzing words which we have been hearing of late. AI is quite frequently we are listening. Gen AI is little less, and AGI is even less and less. But to simply put it, AI is more of detective job. Information already there. He is just processing that. But Gen AI is more of like a creative artist who's using his imaginations and instructions to put together something new. So maybe you can just help us with some of the challenges.
I think it is very important for us all taxpayer, because the government, the way are acting, the transforming their tax ecosystem. It is very important to, as a CFO or tax leader, to evolve and adopt that technology prior to the government. Even I would say the practically we have to be adopt that technology also. And that's why I had mentioned that after 2017, actually this technology partner has sponsored this also, that they emerged in this only 10, in last 10 years only. And we have come up with a very useful tool and technology. Okay, through that you can implement in your system. You can avoid very unavoidable notice that Sumit has also mentioned. Yes, it is right. We can avoid that unavoidable notice also, and you can say simply. I say that let's suppose if your PAN number, vendor PAN number is not updated with the Aadhaar card, then and you get the notice for an interest and penalty. Okay, and simply only at the time of KYC of the vendor, you have just implement a technology that only check that yes, that PAN number is updated with the Aadhaar card or not. So simply one KYC technology you do at the time of KYC, it will solve the problem and it will avoid your unnecessary valid input register to be table A. How can you manage in a manual system? You have to be managed only through a use of the technology. Because otherwise, and sometimes what data is presented in 2A that is not presented in 2B. And at the time of implementation that is not presented in table A. It is very difficult to have to be assessed. So that is why the technology is also important. So now the question is, when this new changes come, first of all, we as a taxpayer, let's understand the interpretation first, and then when you going to implement this with a ERP system or your Salesforce with a business, and you are going to talk with your business persons, just do a paper meeting, and first you analyze and assess the data better, and then simplify for a several of the stakeholder, take a paper meeting and make a to-do list for all the action items, okay, and then you go to the implement. So that you have in a to-do list, you have a complete list to whom you have to communicate, whom you have to be involved in this implementation. With that, you can easily implement that technology also, and whatever the register you change from a internal stakeholder, you can also manage this as well. Very important that we sometimes we make a to-do list, we have an action item, but when we are going to implement, we are not available with the tech team, we are not available with the business team. So there should be a one dedicated tax team from your function, which there and there resolve their queries whenever arise ad hoc questions, and that is will help you and mitigate the means the problems when you are implementing the tech thing. And after the implementation, it is also important there should be defined some transition period as well, so that in the transition period after the implementation there may be some questions arise, okay, that we have not assessed at the time of implementation, now this is the problem, how to solve this. So if you can have a in a simplify, that I am saying that make a to-do list in a simplified manner to understand for a business, and then stand for at the time of basically implementation, and make a one transition plan, okay, and that time you are also stand with your tech team and a business team, and I think with that way you whatever the technology you want to be implement in your system, you can easily implement it and you can survive also. That's my take.
No, I think what I gathered is that while you can have all your checklists, to-dos, etc., but still any new change is something that needs to be worked together in a cohesive manner in an organization. A tax function cannot in silo work. You have to leverage the accounts, technology team or your IT team to put together the expectation, because I have seen out of practical experience, whenever some new law comes, new requirement comes, and you can very well send an email with categorically explaining the requirements, but often it gets delivered unless you get connected with them on real time basis time and again. So that brings me to the question to Vipul. How can you can do the collaboration with your finance and other peers in the organization, because compliance is something which is immediately your task but affecting the entire organization. Also getting into the boardroom, you can't afford to be a non-compliant, especially you are a company who is listed. How you can bring about that collaboration? It's a tough ball, I know, but we have to do that.
So see, like someone was talking about that 80% of the notices comes on the basis of mismatches and data queries, right? In our practical experience, it's beyond 80%. In fact, 95% notices are just mismatches, right? So it is very important that whatever your accounting, AP, AR team are doing, that should be properly recorded in the accounts. Okay, so as an organization, we have a lot of businesses. We have 6 to 7 businesses, and these are very diversified businesses, not related to each other. So for our kind of organization, it is very, very important that we work with accounting team and set the control checks right in the ERP. Like I'll give you a few examples. 3-4 years ago, we had a lot of mismatch cases, right? And everyone had those kind of mismatch cases. We identified the root causes. Now what we do, our vendor master is linked to GSTN. If the vendor's GSTN is cancelled, at that point in time, the vendor gets blocked. We don't even issue a purchase order for that particular vendor, no matter what. No matter whosoever wants to approve it, that's a block in the system and you can't raise a purchase order. So those kind of checks you need to work with accounting team, make them aware that these are very critical, and if at all we are doing transactions with these kind of vendors or customers, it will lead to a business loss for the company, and then work with them to formulate the policies and standard operating procedures. Another important thing what we have done is we are doing continuous training. Like these people are continuously changing. A lot of companies might have a shared service center wherein they are processing invoices for large organizations. So those kind of people, they generally change, and their priority is to clear the backlog, clear the number of invoices in a very fast manner, right? So it is very important to tell us that while you're clearing the invoices at a fast pace, it is important to look at some of these checks which are very, very important, which will save their only time for future rectification kind of things. And not only accounting, like we do training for all the teams, be it the procurement team, be it the supply chain team. Like we saw a lot of cases where e-way bills were not generated on time or e-way bill got expired. So after those trainings and all those things which we did, there was a lot of awareness that people were not aware that, okay, I had to extend it like this, or they were very junior teams. So if you do a continuous dialogue and don't try to work in silos, then these all notices are avoidable. In last 3 years or 2 years, barring very few states, we have not received procedural mismatch notices that e-way bill was not generated, this mismatch, that mismatch. And as an organization, we maintain that reconciliation percentage as 99.94%. So it's just that 0.06% mismatch cases we have on an annual basis. That is just basis the controls that we have put in our ERP and the SOPs and the trainings which we do regularly. So that is very, very essential, and these notices are very much controllable. Only the interpretation issues is something which we can and which we have to fight with the department. Other than that, all the notices, believe me, are very much controllable if you put the right checks in ERP.
Yeah, thanks, Vipul. I think as you grow as a tax leader or a CFO, you also have equal responsibility of developing your team. Because if you don't have a good team, you can't deliver. Trust me, as you grow in the system or totem pole, you have to condition them also. It's very important. Less said, but deeply felt. Chandan, I'm coming to you. While as a tax leader, you will do balance in compliance, but you also have to make sure that efficiency comes in through the team, and you have some scope for innovation within the team to get the show to the road. Your thoughts on that, Chandan?
In corporates, what happen is that you're not a consulting firm, so normally it would be very lean and thin team, means there's one person and they are support staff, and obviously there may be age gap, there may not be age gap, there has to be experience. So, but assuming there is a person with seasoned experience who's heading the tax department, his primary job is to ensure that the second line gets developed effectively. And when that happens, then the person who's at a manager or some maybe at a below level, then they would, you'll surprise the answers they come up with. Basically, you need to throw some questions to them and give them some time actually to think on. To my mind, what they come up with, it feels good to listen actually. Yeah. And that's where the innovation comes possibly. Yeah. It's not one way, because business facts are critical to find unified solution. You might miss some business facts, the solution will be weakened. Yeah. So how do you see a business facts in totality, 360 degree? That's very critical. Tax laws are there, obviously they are general laws, but a business facts, they differ from situation, environment, and how do you master that out? And once that mastery comes, tax laws are, I would say, they are the end of it. It becomes easier for you to comply with. And so as a person who understands finance function or all functions of the business, you need to ensure that the team below is adequately trained to become competent. As sooner it happens, the much better for the company.
No, I think that's really a good insight. Anandi, your point of view, because it is important to work closely with the team. And out of my personal experience, or in hindsight, we also have had the time when we were individual contributor, and now we are growing and understanding, but looks like those were the golden days when you are given the individual task and you master it and the job is done. As you grow, the mental thinking and the delivering overall project becomes a more tedious task than an individual contributor. So you have to get connected with the team also. That the same thinking flows all through.
See, as my friend said, there should be a collaboration between the finance team and the tax team.
Yeah.
And Mr. Pawan also said, Chandan also said that he should be aware about the business environment also.
Yeah.
I like to give you one example. I recently handled one of the notice, received it simple as the clear team was telling, there is difference between the tax on the e-way bill and the tax paid in 3B. Simple. So when I realized there is one of the difference was because of the materials, packing material was sent back to the supplier. Now, you see, the accounting of this transaction, how is to happen, it is not only that my accounting team, but also the sales purchase team, that he is also accounting how many returnable packing material has come, that is one, whether there is an agreement with the party that it is returnable or not, or it is going just on a verbal basis. It may happen that material is coming from X party and packing material is going to some other party. So it is not that the finance team, but also the procurement team and also the sales team and also the person who is sitting in the MLT, who is just dispatching the material. So everyone will have to be in collaboration, and the person sitting in tax team should have idea about all the teams. So this is, I think, understand the collaboration, and of course, to collaborate this all, there should be the system or tools available to capture the all kind of transactions or so.
Yeah, I think that's rightly said. But I think besides tool, open interaction between the different spokes within different departments is also important to bring it on the ground. All systems are there, but unless people are on the same page, that doesn't give the optimum output. So I agree with you. Vipul, I'm coming to you about the role of technology in the organization to stay up to date about the changing dynamics. Then I'll take the inputs from other panelists also.
So, like I handle indirect taxes predominantly. So, it's needless to say that AI, this tech is very important. Without tech, you'll not be able to do compliances. That's one piece, and that's by and large settled. And a lot of companies who are of decent size are using some or the other compliance tools. But now what one has to look at is, let's say, predictive AI, okay, or maybe suggestive AI, or which is reviewing your data. Let's say your input tax credit register, some AI agent is reviewing that input tax credit register, looking at the HSN codes, looking at the text which is mentioned to check whether that is eligible or not in your kind of business. Or maybe some kind of predictive AI which tells you that, okay, let's say these kind of notices you have received in the past, similar notices you will receive, what is the exposure which can come in future also. So those kind of things are something new which is coming. It is still evolving. I would not say that a lot of companies would have implemented it. A lot of solutions are coming around it, which are generally in the implementation and testing phase. So these are the few things which needs to be looked upon in future.
I think of late need of training is very important as the law is changing. Team, finance team, tax team, all those teams, they need to have regular training to stay up to date and understand the subject instead of just merely the jargons, but the pain. Where does it affect our business? How can we make improve about it? I'm coming to you, Gurmeet, about much talked about buzzword of AI. How can automation and AI be leveraged to simplify tax compliance? Maybe a mundane question, but maybe you can help us with some specific examples that audience can carry themselves.
No, absolutely. And I would like to answer this with Cooper, with your thought that you just made, that it is the collaboration of the humans. So the technology has to be a human-centric one. A technology need not necessarily replacing the jobs, etc. at the mundane level or the repeated level, but it should enable or empower the people to analyze the data and to have a more role in the decision making. I'll quickly give you a few examples that what we are looking at. I mean, I will not touch upon that how to prevent the notices, because we know there are a lot of technologies and what we can do. But what if still that we are receiving the notices? Since the government is using the AI or the, the automation while releasing the notices, why can't we? I mean, let's have a technology, or we should have a technology wherein I will take those notices, give to the bot. They will prepare the reply based on the data and repository already available. If the government is, they are issuing the notices of the mismatches, the bot can also, be able to identify what are those differences and can give a standard reply, which will, help you save a lot of time. And a real-time example that I'll give you that, over the past few months I was vexed with the customs issue, that how to tackle with the, the non-fulfillment of export obligations and the EPCGs and the advanced authorizations. We have an excellent technology with us today wherein you do not even need to integrate with your ERP. You just need to put your IEC code and the bot will fetch everything that you need. Not only your advanced licenses, but also the export obligation that you have fulfilled, with all the chatbots, reminders, and up-to-date dashboards that will tell you what is going to come to you next. And for a tax leader, this is nothing but a boon. You will save a lot of time. And what the other companies are doing, so there are multiple pieces of technology, and the technology is ever evolving. We are working on a technology, and I know a few of the organizations, the moment supplier issues an invoice, that invoices are being fed into a vendor portal of the recipient. So if my vendor is issuing an invoice, I can have a real-time update of the invoice that they have been raised, the HSN code or the description or the amount. And that data will fed up in the automated system of the warehouse. So the GRIR or the goods receipt has been made automated without any manual intervention. And if there is any deflection or variation with the PO, the invoice gets rejected. The same way, we are using a lot of bots while reducing the mundane activities of closure activities like doing accounting entries, etc. So this is what has been doing, and we do not have any option, as Mr. Pawan Kumar during his presentation said, that how a tax leader perceive himself, as a cost center or as a leader. To become a leader, it is a journey. If we spend a lot of time involving in these notices, banging our heads, etc., we will not be able to do any strategic thinking. So technology is the need of the hour. This will keep on evolving, and there is no option. But again, I would like to mention a small point that has to be human-centric. Tax leaders should know that how to make your technology easily accessible to down-the-line people, and they should also understand while using the technology how can they contribute to the decision-making of the company.
No, I think that is really helpful, and out of past example we have seen, regardless of the kind of tool, 80% matching happens or 85% matching happens. That 15% that we all struggle to wrap up before that timeline completes for annual return of GST, and the cost of GST credit that becomes a PL hit, that 15% gets addressed through collaborative activities only. So I think technology with the human touch is the eventual solution, and it is a wake-up call for all the tax leaders also to not just be complacent. Technology aa gayi, AI aa gaya, bot aa gaya, hame kya karna hai? You have to keep your eyes and pulse, your finger on the pulse. So
Pushpendra,
okay.
Pushpendra, basically I would like to add, so Gurmeet, what Gurmeet was saying. So basically, we have already seen that in budget 2013, that finance minister launched CBID, means common business identifier, is a PAN card. Okay, so means what is meant? What is the intention of the government? Let's understand the intention of the government to introduce this CBID. They wanted to be have all the data, what you are uploading in the MCA, what financial statement you are uploading on the MCA, what annual return you are filing on the PF, what annual returns you are filing on the GST, okay, Income Tax Act. Now with this all data, how the government with the use of automated AI, they will interpret your data, and with this data, they have asked you, and all the different department will ask you in a notice form, okay, with the intelligent question, okay, and if they ask you with the intelligence question with the automative using of the automative AI and all that, then how you are preparing for yourself? Then you have to also have to adopt that technology so that you will also prepare, because you are functioning as a taxer. You don't know what legal person is uploading an annual return in PF. You are not don't know about, though some have idea about your financial statement, because you are mainly doing the work on from the financial. But this is the things you have to be proactively think about. What government is taking initiative, are we taking the same initiative in parallel or not, and we are proactively in that or not. So that's the
with this,
one.
how long do you think the government will start filing return on our basis? They have all the data available with them. Maybe the time is not far too long.
No, I think the day is not far away that balance sheet will be prepared by them, P&L will be prepared by them. And if you look at it internationally also, the exchange of information, those who are familiar with OECD, Pillar 1, Pillar 2, everything will boil down to the transaction level mapping and exchange of information. Everything will happen digitally. But again, you would like to have a, a good servant, not a bad master. So you need to have that pulse of the business or the transaction. Because system also hallucinate, because it also mimics, tries to mimic, but it cannot replace a human unless human stops thinking about it. Last question quickly, although time is up, but last question quickly, I'll take input from each panelist. Quickly, one piece of advice to the companies who are still heavily dependent on manual tax process in today's dynamic environment. Quickly from Chandan.
See, to say that manual versus technology, technology involves a cost actually. So, people are averse to cost. And so it's not a simple answer to say that, oh, technology is all-time boom and manual is bad. That's the wrong analogy to say. So it would depend upon the size of the company, how the business grows. And technology, to me, is a natural precursor to it. As the business grows, technology would also improve. So that's my simple take on it.
Okay. Sir?
So
one line, please.
Yes, if we don't go into the technology, or we can say good technology, you are thinking that tax team should be a cost center, not the strategic center. But if you want to make a tax team as a strategy center, so innovative tax tool or maybe tool basically is necessity of the time.
Thank you. Gurmeet?
If you're still on manual process, there are only two words: time's up.
Time's up.
So, yeah, I agree with Chandanji that it depends on your cost and benefit analysis, that what size of organization that you are in. And also, based on my experience, what I've seen, you have to find the right technology, that what will fit your kind of organization, right? There are normal reconciliation tools which are available, or then there are robotics, as Gurmeet also mentioned, that you can apply bots to automate the task. Then you have AI, which is slightly a more costlier affair, but it is still at the nascent stage, and especially in tax, like we are implementing one AI to prepare reply for notices, but it is still at nascent stage and it gives incorrect output. It will take its time to mature. So at what point in time you want to implement what kind of technology, that is something which is very important to be more cost effective for the organization. But as a matter of fact, it is very, very important that you implement, or you at least look forward that what kind of things you can automate and put your time to more strategic thinking rather than just doing the compliance. Indirect tax, or maybe overall tax, is much, much beyond the compliance. It is more of a strategic function which organizations have to accept. Yeah.
Good.
So my takeaway, the first question and concern is ki whom are still working on a manual system, why? Is there is a fear of data security or confidentiality or any other things? What is the hiccup points that they are not changing from a manual system to automation where everything is moving now?
Sometimes reluctance to change is also,
Yeah, so
impediment.
I think if there is a confidentiality or data center, I think maybe I request the technology partner, they give us some kind of a confidence to them. So I think they maybe move down. So that's my take is on that.
Okay, I think, thank you. That was all from our side. If there is any question, we are more than happy to take if time permits. Otherwise, I think it is a good discussion. I hope everyone would have enjoyed.
We can take one or two questions if any are there.
Any question, we can take one or two questions from the panelists. No question is, somebody said, no, silence is good sometimes. No questions? Okay.
All right, with this,
Great.
thank you to
Thank
the
you.
entire panel for such an insightful session. Please be with us on the dais. We have small token of gratitude for all our panel members. And to give away the token of appreciations, may I invite Mr. Shrey Gupta, Head of Tax, Jungli Games India, Flutter International. So please join in and let's present a small token of appreciation to the entire panel for beautifully giving us such information, knowledge and insights. It was quite interesting. So starting with our panel member, CA Pawan Kumar, can we have the memento please?